in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through? For you, 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 won't you let the light shine through? In the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through? For you, 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 so hard. We were traveling the mountains just to find the loudest seas. We set down by the fire, knowing we could aim higher, but we didn't know that yet. So if you want something to hold on to, gotta find it first. But here I am, 'cause I've been laying under palm trees, waiting for the summer, knowing there's nowhere to go. 'Cause I am happy on this island, wanna be my farmland. I don't ever want to leave, I'm in a tropic club.
The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for regrets. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Ready to explore right up in the sky. I need you to listen, I need you to hear, and don't show any fear. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul.
Inside you, brighter than the skies. Hold on, just let us escape and fly away tonight. We have the world in our sight, and I know together we'll be alright. Can you see forever we will go?
just a sinking ship, and you're just a pair lips that I've lost in the moment. All I want is for you to come back. Now I'm caught in the middle of life, and I need you to survive. Whoa. I need you to survive. 'Cause without you by my side, I can't survive. I need you to survive. 'Cause without you by my side, I can't survive. And this can be the end. I won't just settle for being your friend. Our broken bond is not too late to mend. But what can I do? 'Cause I'm just a sinking ship, and you're just it's not too late. Of lips that I've lost in the moment. All I want is for you to come back. Now I'm caught in the middle of life, and I need you to survive. She said, boy, I want you to walk right, so I can give you one more chance. You're only living in your damn head. Yes. Without you by my side, I can't survive. I need you to survive. Cause without you by my side, I can't survive.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways. And on we'll go. to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. See the horizon, turn us to thousands, and we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands, and on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays, and on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it rain. Tonight we gonna let it rain. Tonight we gonna let it just like the sunrise. We gonna let it rain. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it rain. Tonight we gonna let it rain. Tonight we gonna let it just like the sunrise. We gonna let it
Chose to believe.
Good morning, I'm Chris Beach and welcome to Charting the Markets on IG Live. And it's a very solid day of gains for equity indices across the board this morning after a decent rebound in US markets last night. Big questions over whether This is the beginning of something more sustained from a move to the upside. Particularly US indices, of course, are finding their footing, but solid rallies for the past 24 hours or so for indices, not just in Europe, but in the US as well. That followed on from a mixed session in Asian markets where Japan was down, but South Korea and Australia rather, both advanced. In FX markets, we're still seeing a bit of pressure on currency with US dollar strength bearing fruit across the board. That's putting some downward pressure on euro dollar and cable, and dollar yen also trying to move higher thanks to that dollar strength. Perhaps signs of the risk aversion we saw earlier in the week is perhaps beginning to abate. And in commodity markets, gold prices down again, that stronger dollar coming into play, but oil picking up as hopes of an economic rebound once again come to the fore. It's been flash PMI day, mixed so far, really. Japanese manufacturing data still in contraction, but services were better. Australian data, however, pointed towards an improvement really across the board. That theme continues with the Eurozone and UK PMIs today, and then later this afternoon, US flash manufacturing and services PMIs, along with those weekly crude oil inventories. Starting with the indices this morning and beginning with the FTSE 100 currently trading at 59.65, and you can see really this negative outlook for this index damaged, I think, to some extent today, because you've seen a decent recovery from the 5800 zone, which might put you in mind of a double bottom, because while we did have sharp losses, quite dramatic losses on Monday, the index then found support at 5800 or so, right where it did in the first week of September. And so far this morning has rallied with a will, and looks like it's continuing to move in that direction. Now, this, of course, is the index that's been the underperformer, the miserable performer now for weeks, indeed since the beginning of June, with lower highs all the way through, and trendline resistance therefore also being used to highlight this, which suggests that we could continue to see this rebound back towards 6,080, 6,090, and then hit trendline resistance, and then we'll see what it does from there. It's a tough one, of course, because you're looking at this one, then you could provide a candidate for going long, although I think at this moment you've seen this huge rally off the lows that you might be a bit late to the party trying to chase this one now, and undoubtedly there'll be a few thinking that this rally has gone too far too fast, but it has as well broken through trendline resistance from Wednesday's high, so we're watching that to see if we've got consolidation of gains, which take us on towards 6,060 and 6,115 as well. Not a bad performance, though, from an index that has been the laggard all the way through the past 3 or 4 months. So while there might be better candidates in terms of upside, it is good to see the index finally beginning to show some signs of strength, although, as we've been here before numerous times since June, I think this one needs to be treated with a healthy degree of skepticism. Certainly, unlike others, you've got a 200-day moving average that's still falling. That's up at 63.78. You've got a 50-day moving average that's now back below the 100-day moving average. So what was expectation of a continued rebound has turned into expectation of further declines. And so it's definitely something to watch for as we head into the rest of the week. If we look at the DAX, this one has managed to find support once again at about 12,600. It has been stuck more or less in this range for quite some time now, and gains above sort of 13,300 have been hard or impossible to sustain, really. We first reached that level really at the second half of June, and since then we just haven't been able to break out of that. But I think it makes sense to still expect further gains to the upside, in which case we're looking for a rebound towards 13,400 now that this area around 12,600 has been defended. Again, this is a case of probably waiting for a better entry point, because really if you go long now, you've got to put your stop right down below Monday's low to give it plenty of room to breathe. Even if you put it below Tuesday's lows, that's still a good 250 points down from where we are now. But if we're watching this to see if we can continue to make further gains to recover Monday's losses, then the next area to watch for is crucially, I think, exactly where we are now, around 12,800. This was an area of a low early in September, and we're now here again. So if the idea of support becoming resistance holds sway, then a reversal back below, say, 12,750 could again provide a very negative outlook and suggest a retest of 12,530 is in the offing. So if you look at the daily chart, then you can still see really how this makes the case for further moves to the upside, having found support at 12,600. And turning to the S&P 500 as well, this one, of course, has had a couple of false dawns recently. In the middle of September, it looked as if we'd found a recovery off the 50-day moving average. We then promptly dropped below that. Over the past 3 sessions, we've seen that, the past 5 sessions, we saw a degree of losses. But interestingly enough, as you can see from these 3 daily candles, we finished off the lows every time. And that's probably was sending the signal that there are signs of a recovery in play. We have stochastics crossing higher once again for the second time in about a week. That may be viewed as a positive signal, but MACD is still very negative. That has yet to give a positive signal, but it is definitely one to watch. In terms of the hourly chart, the direction of travel, of course, from September's high up at 3,600 is still firmly in place, and it is the risk that we get towards 33.50 and then the price sells off once again. So it's definitely one to watch out for. But again, having seen a recovery off the lows, you're now watching for the higher low to be created to provide the entry point in terms of a risk to reward that's going to give you a better entry rather than trying to chase this one now after this huge rally from Monday's lows. It's always obvious to see these kind of entry points. In hindsight, it was clear now with the benefit of 48 hours notice that there was a low on Monday, at least for the time being. But at the time, of course, it felt like this would keep falling. And so the market has done its usual thing. The question is now, do we think this one has much further to go, or will it in due course turn lower and target 32.30 and lower, resuming the downtrend? Of course, historically, markets can weaken into the middle of October, into the end of October in election years, and that's precisely where we are now, of course, in election year. So if this one does follow that script, then maybe this is the beginning of further losses. But it's also the case that as we head towards the end of September, and this is perhaps the weakest week, or last week was the weakest week for stocks, that we are beginning to see signs of a recovery. As ever, the price will determine what it is, but certainly for bulls, I think to move back above that 50-day moving average at 33.56 would be a positive development to start with. In FX markets, the euro has come under pressure against the dollar, briefly dropping to its lowest level since the end of July. But already we're starting to see signs of recovery here too after 2 days of heavy losses. And as I was arguing in the FX update this morning, this is still in an uptrend. And so I think we're still looking to go to buy the dips rather than try and sell the rallies. Yes, the price couldn't break through 119 really over the course of August and September, but it needed to consolidate after the huge run-up in May, June and July. And so we've just had that consolidation, and now it looks as if maybe we're finding a clue for further gains. Above the 50-day moving average, again, that would be a good sign, I think, really, for the bulls if they can reverse the negative outlook of the last couple of days and provide a more bullish view in the short term. Then that is the first thing to look out for. Alternately, further declines take us on towards that 100-day moving average at 114.65 and then down to that June peak just below at 114.25 as well. But it still looks like, I think, we'll see this one revive in due course, taking us back towards 119 and indeed higher if the US dollar starts to weaken as well. What isn't looking quite as strong has been the pound against the dollar, although again it is off its lows. It was firmly below that 200-day moving average this morning, but has reversed to an extent. Again, I suppose, given the outlook concerning Brexit and the UK economy, you might not want to be too bullish on sterling. But from a technical perspective, and of course, technical traders discount the news, or usually tend to discount the news, you have seen a possible bounce off trendline support. And you are holding above that 200-day moving average at 127.24. So anything can happen at this point. If it does begin to reverse and move higher, back above 129 would be a good sign. Back above 130 in the 50-day moving average would again be another positive sign. I suppose you could also argue that if you get a breakout above trendline resistance, that would take us back above 128.50 and provide an even another interesting clue that this one had bottomed out. So yes, the news is bad, but the technical picture perhaps continues to lean towards the idea that the pound has found a low against the US dollar for the time being. Another one to watch out for, dollar yen. recently hit its lowest level since March. In fact, 2 days ago it did. Finds itself probably a bit overextended to the downside against the 50-day moving average. So we're watching that for a possible snapback rally in the direction of 105.90, 106 itself. That takes us back to the creation of another lower high. Of course, that 50-day moving average has been an interesting one to watch over August and September, because while we have managed to move above it a couple of times, we couldn't hold those gains. And so it's definitely something to watch. So maybe if we do get a short-term rebound, maybe the sellers will pile on this one once again. For above that, of course, takes us on back towards 107 and these highs from August and into September that mark the limit of gains for this currency pair. Finally, turning to commodity markets, gold, unsurprisingly, hit hard by that weaker dollar, falling below the 50-day moving average earlier in the week and staying below it, marking the first sort of sustained period below that indicator since, well, the beginning of June, if not earlier. Hopes of a rebound in gold were dashed this week. It had been clinging on above a 50-day moving average, but the stronger dollar really knocked that one as we began the week. And so now we're looking to see whether it can perhaps try again and find some support near where it did earlier in August, around 18.63. Definitely watching this one. Again, if you're looking at the short-term chart, the one to watch maybe will be the idea that this one has been busily creating lower highs. Unfortunately, it would suggest we could go as far as 1940 or so before it starts to decline once again. But interestingly, over the past 2 or 3 days, those gains really have stalled. In this kind of outlook, with this sort of trendline resistance coming into play, back above 1900 might provide a more short-term bullish signal for the commodity. So let's go back to the daily chart as we struggle to find a higher low in this one. Of course, it is still in an uptrend, so I think you'll be very wary about suggesting that a bigger downward move is upon us. We have been here before with gold when it starts to weaken considerably, but the trend has been very strong for 2 years, and there's no point in arguing with it just yet. So we're watching this one for signs of a potential recovery that provide a clue to the establishment of a higher low that then renews the move higher, targeting 1960 in the short term, and then onwards perhaps even as far as those highs from the very beginning of August. And then finally, turning to crude oil prices, rallying along with equities really this morning, rebound in risk appetite. It looked as if it was getting quite negative earlier in the week when we reversed from the 50-day moving average and started to drop back. But 100-day moving average doing its best to hold as support, as it has done in recent sessions. So that's definitely something to watch out for. Further gains take us back towards 41.50 and then up to 42, and above that, the more bullish view begins to emerge once again. If you look at this on the hourly chart, you can see that even more, how we've held rising trendline support, and we look to be moving back in the direction of Friday's highs, at least at 41.50. So looking at the rest of the day, of course, it's US flash PMIs this afternoon from 245. Watch out for those, likely to provide further market volatility. Also, the weekly US oil inventories at 330. We're waiting for another stronger start on US markets, with the futures pointing to a solid open across the board for the likes of the Dow, the S&P and the NASDAQ. That's it for me. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you again tomorrow at 10:30.
scared, frightened of things that could happen, might not happen. You